Hello students, myself Dr. Jibran Ahmed presents to you Simply Pathology, and today's topic of discussion is indeed a very important one. Now I have seen multiple students have been texting me, messaging me and even sending me certain emails regarding, sir, how do we manage our time as a medical student? So today in this particular lecture I am going to tell you the study techniques as well as how you should schedule your times and how you should manage your time as a medical student. So there are multiple aspects to this particular lecture, and I say to all of you that please stay tuned till the end of the lecture, okay, and you will not miss anything. Thank you very much for watching. So the first important part of this lecture is that you should have a smart study. So what do you mean by smart study? Now I have often seen students, who go and take the textbook and they want to read from the first page to the last page. No, if you are going to do that, you are not going to cover every topic. So what you have to do, what is the meaning of smart study? Smart study means that you read certain selected and important topics from a particular chapter, okay, and you study important topics from all the chapters. So if you are trying to read and complete a chapter as a whole from page 1 to the page 100, you are not going to complete all the chapters. So you have to do a smart study. So the meaning of smart study is to read the important topics first, then to go to another topics. For example, in the liver, you have to read the liver pathology, the basics of liver pathology you have to know. Then the important topics like alcoholic liver disease, viral hepatitis, these are certain important topics that you will have to know first. Now, if you do not read this and straight away go to Wilson's disease or alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, in such a situation, what will happen that you are not going to complete the other chapters. So by this I mean you have to do a selective study. Now how will you know that which are the important topics? Now this is a very important and a valid question. So now it will differ for different universities, but as a whole it is same all over. So you take the last 5 or 10 years of the question paper, see the questions. So out of them you will see that there are certain questions that are getting repeated again and again and again. Why is it getting repeated? Because it is of clinical significance. That is why it is getting repeated. So this is how you are going to find out the important topics that you have to read first. So smart study means that. Smart study doesn't mean that you have to read the entire thing. Another important misconception among students about smart study is that often students, they think that they will, that for example, they started to read Robbins in the second year. So if they will not be able to complete in the second year Robbins, that means that they have lost the battle. That means they cannot read Robbins. No, it is not that. Okay, in your second year period, you are going to read certain selective topics from Robbins, but that should be from Robbins, and Robbins should make up the majority of pathology that you read. So this is exactly the case with Harrison's also, okay, because if you start reading Harrison's, it will not get completed for the next 2-3 years, okay. So Harrison you cannot complete in your medical time, but you are going to read certain important and certain basic concepts from that. That is the meaning of smart study. It doesn't mean that you have to read each and every point. I have always emphasized to you that always read the core topics first, the basics and the core topics first. So this is all about smart study. Now the third most important point is note taking. Now I have always emphasized one thing, that the notes that you are reading should always be your notes. If you are reading from your friend's notes, then maybe you will pass in the exam, but your net concept will be 0. You are not going to gain in your concept. And always you should take your own notes, because you can comprehend or understand your notes much better than anyone else. So notes taking is very, very important, and it should be your own notes. Now another thing is, note taking doesn't mean that you start off with the first line of the chapter and you end with the and the last line of the chapter and you take the entire, because that is not a note, that is another book that you create. So notes taking means that something that should be very concise, that you are able to reproduce, that you are able to revise in a very short period of time. That is what is the meaning of notes. And trust me, in medical line, in medical life, and not only in the UG but also in the PG and in the post and in the DM also, okay, you have to have notes. If you do not have notes, it is impossible one day before the exam to take the textbooks, fat textbooks, and to revise them. So my second important thing is to make smart notes. Now the third important point is recall. Yes, the power of recall. How I learned about the power of recall. Now, in my UG days, there used to be a guy who used to actually, sit outside the library, and he used to just, something like this. He used to do like this, like that, and I didn't understand what he was doing. So one day I went to him and I asked, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? He is saying that I read something, some concepts, last day, and today I am going to recall those concepts. I'm trying to recall. I said, what is he doing? What is this? This is all nonsense. Then he told me, you try it out once. Okay, if you like, then you do. So one day what I did, I read something today, and then the next day, okay, in evening hours, I tried to recall those particular points. So what happened, that I was able to recall the first line, the second line, then somewhere I got stuck in the third line. Again, I was able to recall the fourth line. So what happened, that when you try to recall something, okay, you find the gaps in your memory. So whichever points, you tend to forget, you know that particular part, and you go back and you read that particular part. So in this way, what happens, that something that your mind doesn't register well in the first time, because you try to recall in the second time, your mind registers, no, this is something I forgot, and now I will remember that thoroughly. So this is the power of recall. So you should always try to recall what you have read. So now the fourth important thing, yes, you have rightly guessed, the fourth important thing is revision. Now, need not say the power of revision is what. Now, I just want to tell you one thing. Even if you read an entire book, and if you do not revise it, okay, even once, it is a total waste of time to read that entire book. So I always say to my students, and I always practice myself, that you should revise. Revision is the key to success. So once you start revising, what happens, if you have read in your physiology, there is something called as short-term memory, and there is something called as long-term memory. So whenever you try to revise something again and again and again, your brain is going to convert that particular memory from short-term to the long term. Okay, and if you remember, if you have read about the hippocampus is the one which is responsible for this long-term memory. So remember that you have to revise, and revision is the key to success. Okay, so revision plays a very, very important role. Now the fifth important point over here is organization or scheduling your day. It is very, very important, and in today's world it is of utmost importance to organize or to schedule your day. Why is it so important? Because if you do not organize or if you do not schedule your day, you are just going to waste your day and you will not even know about it. So what I used to do as a medical student, so I will tell you, so usually you are having classes in the morning hours from 9 o'clock, and you have practicals in the afternoon from 2 o'clock, I think. So basically from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you are engaged in college. So when do you study and how do you study? And in any year, if you see, you are having 4 subjects. 3 to 4 subjects are there. So my basic funda, what I used to do is from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I used to be in my college. Okay, from 5 o'clock to 5:30, I used to take a very short tea break. Then I used to come back, I used to go to the library or maybe sometimes come back to my room, and then after coming, I used to study for 2 hours very nicely. Now after I used to read, after 8 o'clock, okay, I used to go for my dinner, okay, just spend a little bit time here and there, and again at 9 o'clock, I used to be back to my studying. So from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I used to study. So from this entire time, from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you saw that I read for 3 hours, and I used to, spend 1 hour just, for dinner and to rest. Now, after that 10 o'clock, what you should do, you should have some amount of extra time that is saved for you to enjoy something. For example, you may enjoy listening to some music or enjoy listening to some series, watching some series, or you must, just hanging out with your friends, speaking to your family, or do something that you enjoy, because this 1 hour you need to relax, okay, else you are going to get burnt out, you are going to get exhausted. Okay, so at 11 or 11:30ish, I used to go to sleep. Okay, and then again, it depends from individual to individual. For me, 7 hours of sleep was enough, but for you it might be 8 hours, or for someone it might be around 5 hours also. So the basic idea is to go to sleep early so that you can wake up soon too. Why? Because the early hours, the 2-3 hours that you get just before your lectures are very, very crucial. Trust me, this is the particular time that is the most important part of your day. At least for me, I used to read a lot. I used to get up at 6 o'clock and I used to read for 2.5 hours straight. I used to go for reading, because this is the amount of time when your mind is fresh, there is no clutter in your mind, there is no distraction, nothing. You can straight away go and you can read for straight 2.5 hours. And after you read and when you go to the lecture, you have such a great feeling that yes, today I have already read something. Okay, so this is so important. So this is how I used to schedule out my things. One very important thing I want to add about scheduling is that, for example, you should always plan one day in before. For example, if I have to, plan for tomorrow, so just before sleeping tonight, I used to just in my mind, you don't need to write it down. Just you need to, tell in your mind, just have a decision. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up in morning. I want to read this topic. Again, I want to go college, and after I come back from college, I have to read this subject, and I always tell my students, mix all the subject. Okay, do not read one subject throughout the day. I used to read around 3 to 4 subjects, all the subjects I used to read every day, because that, that take the boredom off the table, and that gave me more amount of interest. So always schedule, organize, plan things beforehand. Early morning is golden. And lastly, you should always revise. Okay, so this is all about scheduling. Now, the sixth most important part is to be flexible in life. Do not be very rigid in life. See, sometimes what is going to happen, that you are going to make a plan, you are going to make a schedule, okay, and somewhere down the line there might, something might come up. Maybe you will have a fight with your friend. Maybe sometime the teacher is going to scold you. Maybe there will be some problems in your family. Something or the other will happen, because this is life, and in life unexpected things happen, okay, at unexpected time. So what will happen, that sometimes you will not be able to you will not be able to complete your schedule. You will not be able to achieve your goals. You will not be able to, complete. For example, if today I plan to do 3 chapters, I was not able to read all the 3 chapters. Okay, I was able to read just 1 chapter because something came up. Okay, so do not get depressed. You will always have some amount of time. Okay, the next day is always there. Okay, you will have some days. Okay, and you can cover that up later. So because of this small thing, do not make your other days bad. There are some students I see, they get so much worked up, okay, that okay, my everything is not going according to my plan. I plan to study 3 chapters. I could read just 1 chapter. I will not be able to pass. I will do, something. The problem is this. But because you become so much afraid that your problem, your mind projects the problem so big, whereas the problem is so small. So half the problem is there in your mind, okay. So clear those things. Don't be rigid. Be flexible in life, okay. This is a very important problem that none of the students, they do not actually, acknowledge that they are suffering from this problem. But most of the students, they get worked up. There is something which is happening, something stupid, something small. So do not get, held up with such small things. So my saying is, whatever happens, you should always move on. Okay, the power of moving on is very important, because you cannot waste much time when you are in a medical school. So this is very important. That is, do not be rigid, be flexible. Okay, life will have ups and downs, but you have to sail through it. Now the 7th most important point is the grades. So what happens, see, I will tell you something. There's a very funny thing which happens in medical schools, and those medical students, the medical students who are actually watching this, you will be able to correlate. Sometimes you will see that, you are not getting the marks, okay, that you expected to get. Okay, just remember that you are studying very hard, but still you are not being able to get that amount of marks. Why is it so? So remember one thing, that sometimes there are different teachers, in our college, different professors, some of them are very good, they will give you more marks. Some of them, they are a bit strict, they want that particular word or particular concept in their answer, so they are not going to give you much marks. So what happens, that sometimes you are going to get disheartened, that I read so much and I'm not getting that much amount of marks. Okay, so do not get worked up. This is very usual in a medical school, and do not get worked up with the grades. Okay, because you cannot do anything about the grades. The only thing which is in your hand is to study smartly, okay, is to give you 100%, and is to, work hard and, be consistent in your approach. This is the only thing which is in your hand. Okay, so you cannot control how a teacher is going to mark, or what the teacher will ask or not ask. That is not in your control. I have seen multiple students asking me, sir, in exam they will ask this, sir, that teacher will not give me. You are more afraid of the teacher than you are afraid of the subject. This is the bottom line. So my saying is, grades, generally, usually, okay, a hard-working student always secures, mediocre to good marks. Okay, so remember that sometimes your marks will not always be up. Sometimes it can come down, and this is very usual in a medical college. Okay. Now the next part of discussion is actually discussion. Means that, there is one very important thing that I always wish that I should have done and I couldn't do, but I want that you people should do, and I hope and I believe that many of my students are doing that. Now you do not know what is the power of discussion, the power of studying with a study partner. Now study partner over here doesn't mean, a boy and girl partner. No, it can be boy partner, it can be a girl partner, it might also be a boy and a girl partner. So what is happening over here, that a study partner, can enhance your learning process immensely. So what happens, for example, there are two students, okay, and for example, they're reading about necrosis, okay. So suddenly the next day, okay, they start to ask each other some questions, okay. So some of them asked, what is your different types of necrosis, or define necrosis, okay. So what happens that when you read or when you discuss things, when you discuss a definition, when you discuss the types of necrosis, what happens, your mind registers and remembers that discussion part for a longer time. Okay, so the power of discussion is very, very, very important. So you know what, if you can, I do not say that this is a must thing, but if you have an opportunity, okay, to have a nice discussion, okay, among your friends, okay, so I would encourage discussion. Discussion forms a very, very important part of clearing of concepts. Sometimes what will happen that you are reading one particular topic, okay, sometimes you might take up a completely different concept, okay, you might take up a different understanding. In that point of time, your other friend that we are discussing with, he will say that, no, I think the meaning is not this, the meaning is this. So what will happen, that is going to enlighten you. Okay, if you have a different concept than the other, then you people can discuss and you can solve it. Okay, so this is how discussion can help you. So I always stand for discussion. So the next part of my discussion is about consistency. So what about consistency? What is the meaning of consistency? It is very simple. Whatever you did today, you have to do it tomorrow. So one very important aspect of this consistency is that consistency will bring you not good result. They will give you the best and the excellent results. Okay. Now you will argue with me. Okay, there are certain students. Okay, even in my college and even in your college, you might see there are certain God-gifted students. Okay. They do not study. You never see them studying. Okay, but they always pass with some good grades. Even one day before exam, they are not doing. So they are really God gifted. There used to be certain students like them, like that in my batch too. But remember that these students, they only form 0.01% of the entire batch. Okay, of the entire group of medical students. So for by and large, I was a mediocre student, and I was a hard-working student. I used to work hard. I am not God gifted. But I was consistent. Okay, consistent means, for example, if you have planned something to read in this 1 week, okay, so you completed that. Okay, doesn't mean that because this 1 week you read, so the next week I'm not reading anything. Again, the next week I'm totally not reading anything. Okay, there is some sports week, there is some seminar, some conference, some party is there, some anything is there. Okay, some fest is there. So so you can take 1, 2 day, 3 day off, but you cannot just take a month off. Okay, so this is what is about consistency. You have to be consistent in your approach. Okay, be it any day. Okay, don't forget to open your books. Okay, so it's very very important for a medical student to read every day. So you have to be consistent. You have to read every day. You have to be motivated every day. You need it. Okay, consistency is going to bring you success, not one day reading before your exam. Now the next part that I am going to speak about is something which many of you may not want to speak, or may not want to share, or are not comfortable with. Yes, you will have to accept one fact, that because the medical line is a bit different from the other lines, okay? So you come across various patients, you will come across various things, hardships. It is a bit tough. It is a bit tough on students. So students do suffer from depression, and depression is something which is very much real. Okay, so do not ignore depression. So for example, what are the signs of depression? So if you see that you do not feel like getting out of your bed, you do not feel like going out, you do not feel like having food, or on the other hand, if you are binging on a lot of food, okay, and you're just from morning till night, you're just sitting and you're just watching series or some Netflix, Amazon, anything, and you're trying to avoid your life, and you have just given up. You know, these are certain signs. So I want to tell you something. Whenever you have something like this, okay, just speak about that. Okay, just speak about your problem, address your problems. Okay, speaking to someone can, you know, is half the battle won. You know, you can really speak with your friends. Okay, you can speak with your family, even you can speak with your brother, sister, you know, some seniors that is there in your college, maybe juniors, maybe even some teachers, senior residents in your college. You know, there are many tutors, anyone, but you should speak. Once you speak about your problem, half the battle is won, because you have now acknowledged that yes, there is something wrong, and it is very, very common, and it is growing among the medical students, because it is a tough field. There is a lot of studying, there is a lot of reading, there is a lot of exams to pass, lot of vivas is there are many things. So you have to organize yourself, and you have to hold yourself together. So mental health is something which is very important, and no one has addressed this issue yet. So I am telling you that this, if it happens to you, if you are watching my video now, and if you feel, I have my email and I have my phone number in my description box, please do contact me. Okay, so this is all about this particular part. Now lastly, just to sum up, I would like to say what I used to do as a medical student, and what worked for me. What are my secrets? So actually my secrets are not something which is something that you don't know, and I'm not going to say something that will, you know, change your life, but these are, I used to take care of the smaller things in life. Okay, so what I used to do, I'll tell you one thing. Okay, I never used to take a Sunday off. You know, I used to take a weekday off, but never a Sunday off. You know what my reason was? My reason was that on a Sunday, most people are off, and this is an opportunity to get ahead of them. Okay, so I always used to read on a Sunday. Secondly, I always had a habit of waking up early in the morning. So early morning hours, when the whole world is asleep, I used to get a feeling that if I read, I can get ahead of everyone by at least 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so this gives you a very nice. Now this competition is just a healthy competition. I'm talking in a very healthy way. There is something called as a healthy competition. So my energy used to come from there. Okay, not taking Sundays off, and always getting up early in the morning. Second important thing that I used to do is, and still I do in my life, is consistency. Every day is important. Every day you have to create a better self. Okay, you have to be consistent in whatever you do. Third thing is that revision is very, very important. If you do not revise, it is as good as you did not read only. Fourth important thing that I used to do is effective learning. You know what? Whenever I used to go to the library, okay, I used to know that this is what I have to read. So knowing is important. Why you are going to library today? I am going to library to read chapter number 3. Now, if for example, okay, if I have to read 3 or 4 chapters in a day, okay, then I made a plan, I made an approach how I am going to go about that particular chapter. Okay, it's not like I have to read 4 chapters, so I am going to sit with my book from morning 9 to evening 5 o'clock, 8 hours, 9 hours, no. I am going to read for just 4 hours, but that 4 hours are going to be very, very effective 4 hours. Okay, and last important thing that I used to do, and still I am doing, in my time there used to be some amount of distraction from the phone, social media and everything, okay, but in today's world, distraction is taking up a huge chunk of your time. Okay, so social media is really a very important aspect of our life today. Okay, so the digitalization that has happened in this particular era, the digitalization has brought in many nice things, okay, but it has also brought many problems. For example, mobile has now become an addiction. Can you stay without your mobile? Just try to, switch off your mobile for one day. If you can be without your mobile for one day, I will give you any reward that you want, because it is so difficult, and we do not realize also that how much addicted we have become. If you go to the WHO, okay, they have listed mobile as one form of addiction also. Okay, so in my time I used to do what? When I am trying to read something, when I am reading, I used to switch off my phone, or at least made it on a silent mode. Okay, so you have to be very, very focused while you're reading. It is much better to read for 4 effective hours than to read for 12 hours and to know something that you can achieve in 4 hours. Okay, so you have to have an approach of effective learning. And one very important thing that I told you, that I forgot to tell you, is that always you try and attend lectures. Now I understand it's a time of lockdown. Okay, so you will not be able to go and attend lecture. Everything has become online. But why I tell you to attend lectures and posting, the reason is, the moment you get up from your bed, the moment you get ready for your lecture, the moment there is an release of excess amount of hormones in your body that gives you some positive energy. There are some chemical signals that are transmitted to your brain that gives you that amount of positive energy that is needed. So even if you're not being able to attend the lectures now, I insist everyone, at least for 15 to 20 minutes, okay, you go out nearby, just go out, walk, because if all day if you are inside home and you're reading, you are going to get depressed. There are high chances of that. So this is what I wanted to tell you so these are just my basic secrets that I used in my medical life. So guys, I have tried to cover all the important elements of of medical education and how you should use your time effectively in a medical school. So hope you have found it beneficial, and with this I would like to say thanks, and I would like to end this video. And please do subscribe to my channel, and please do comment if you have any doubts, and I have also started putting many histological images in my Instagram channel, Simply Pathology, so go and have a look over there. So thank you very much guys for watching. I will be back with much such videos. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. Thank you.